Will, how are you?
I'm good, Keith. How you doing?
Doing well. Quite a bit to talk about this week, but let's talk a little bit about something that actually happened over the weekend. It's, I guess you can call it a crime story, where it was, you guys titled it "The Rumble in the Jungle" in the headline in the Herald, concerning an altercation at a local pet store. For people who don't know what happened, fill us in.
Well, so it's down at Jurassic Jungle on East Main Street. It appears that this is all based on police reports and court records at this point, but there were some folks in the store who were allegedly drinking alcohol and smoking marijuana at different points, got into a fight with other people over the proper care of reptiles. This turned into quite the scene, it seems like. They're alleged to have blockaded the doors to stop people from getting out. Physical assaults then took place, and then that spilled out into the road as the doors were opened. And quite the must have been quite the scene over there. I hope there were no young reptiles. They were hopefully covering their eyes.
Right, absolutely. You can kind of wonder what the discussion was. No, you don't feed reptiles this. You feed them this. I'm sure police could always tell a lot of stories about some of the confrontations they've had with residents in altercations and in disagreements. But I'm sure this one ranked right up there with, you're arguing over what, right? I'm sure that was one of the things that police had to worry about.
Yeah, and I know the oddity of it. It's certainly been the most popular story on our site this week, and it was picked up by the Associated Press and other outlets in the area. So, sometimes you just can't beat the odd stuff.
That's right, and you know what? That's what makes the world go round, right? We're all different, right? We're all unique, as they say. All right, let's head back to local government and political issues. The City Council this week forwarded to committee a proposal which would, in effect, eliminate the sanitation fee. Of course, we know that Mayor Correa has talked about possibly eliminating the fee, and it looks like steps are moving to at least have that discussion amongst city councils. I believe it's going to go to the ordinance committee. Is that correct?
Right. It is now on its way to the ordinance committee. Certainly, Mayor Correa campaigned on the idea of removing the fee, as well as City Councilor Cliff Ponte, who also campaigned on that. So we'll go to ordinance. It will be heard there before it can move on to the full council for any vote, but it certainly appears to be on track for elimination.
Now, we're still looking for some information from the administration onto how the city hopes to make up the revenue that would be lost by this. Is that correct?
That's right. It hasn't exactly been known yet how that will happen. There's still details waiting to be heard on the prospects of privatization for sanitation and waste pickup. So that will probably be part of the equation going forward, but we're still waiting on those finer details, especially with the financials.
Any timetable on when the ordinance committee would be taking this up?
Nothing has been sent out yet. We're 2 days from the council meeting when that was moved, so no formal notice of such a meeting yet to this point. So could be before the next meeting, which would be the fourth Tuesday of the month, but nothing yet scheduled. And I
would think that a number of councilors would do their due diligence to find out again about those financial numbers on whether the elimination of the fee and how that would be made up before maybe they even take up this issue in committee.
Sure, I know Councilor Richard Cabeceras has been debating the numbers related to privatization. Whether or not he's figuring the sanitation fee in that or not, I'm not completely sure, but that's part of the process. Some of them, I'm sure, will be relying on their own figures, some on the figures provided by the administration, and we'll see where this goes.
Moving to the school committee now. The school committee this week has voted to hire a consultant, which will help in the search for a new superintendent of schools here in Fall River. And Will, this is a company that has some good experience in doing this. They're a Massachusetts company and have done this on a number of occasions.
Yeah, the Mass Association of School Committees is pretty well versed in this process. Right. They know superintendents in the state. It will be interesting to see if by using this organization, if it pretty much ensures more of an in-state candidate than the sort of national search that took place back in 2005 when Nick Fisher was hired. But we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But at least it's the first step in the process is completed. And, we head towards the sort of July period when Meg is expected to leave Fall River and head off to Barnstable.
Now, what are going to be the next steps? Now, this was just a selection of the firm to do this work. Is there going to be any back and forth between the association and the school committee to work out some details on whether they want to go outside the state, make it a national search, and also if that still needs to be done, is that something that would be done in executive session or in open meeting?
Well, I would expect they're going to want to discuss what the job description should look like. That's something that's going to guide the type of superintendent they're looking for, from experience to pay range, and all the sort of finer details of what applicants would want to know as they apply for the position. My belief is, because they are just discussing the generality of the position, less so than specifics about a person, that should take place in open session.
Okay.
But that's something that we'll have to see as it goes forward.
Also, one of the things I wanted to bring up this week is the Herald News is doing I believe it's a month-long look into Women's History Month and women who make history here in the Greater Fall River area. And there's been a number of profiles. There's one a day, I believe, throughout the month of March. Talk a little bit about that, Will, and who have been some of the people who've been profiled thus far.
Sure. Yeah. Every day for the month of March, we'll be highlighting a woman from the Greater Fall River area who is, active in whether it's in the community or any aspect really. We've highlighted politicians such as Pat Haddad and Carol Fiola, community leaders such as Wendy Garth-Lip, business women, doctors. We're really trying to capture the full gamut of those that have risen to the top of their fields, with the hopes of providing some inspiration for girls in the area, to show that talk of the glass ceiling can be simply that. The glass ceiling can be broken, and there are plenty of examples in this area to prove that that is the case.
Right. So follow the Herald News online and in the paper throughout the rest of the month, and you'll have great profiles of inspirational women here in the Greater Fall River area. All right, Will, what's the Herald News working on over the next few days?
Well, this weekend we will have our own interview with Dr. Sprague regarding his retirement. And also we're looking, we've got to look at Nashua, New Hampshire, which is the home of a 100,000 square foot Amazon fulfillment center. So a little bit smaller than the one here in Fall River, but Nashua has many similar demographics. Their population is similar, former mill town, and ironically enough, they also would like to have a commuter rail that links them to Boston. Right. So as a community, they're very similar. So we're taking a look at how the presence of that fulfillment center has worked out there and what that could mean for Fall River. Now,
is it the same type of fulfillment center with the larger items that are there? So is it apples to apples?
It's not quite apples to apples. Theirs is about 100,000 square feet, whereas the one here in Fall River is 1 million square feet.
Right.
So it's a tenth of the size, but plenty of employment opportunities and those type of things coming from that facility.
All right, Will, we appreciate your time. We'll talk again next week.
All right, thanks.